came back here.
Yeah. All right. So I've always been told don't underestimate the fat kid. And it's turning out to be true over and over and over again. Jokic. Okay. I got to preface this by saying, yes, both of us are located here in Denver. We are not a fan podcast of a specific team, but sometimes players do things that it's hard to ignore.
Yeah.
You and I were texting a little bit during the game against Chicago, and then last night, Jokic got another triple-double. It was his 9th of the season. They've played 14 games. Pretty absurd. And he did it before the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Again, which is the 5th or 6th time he's done that this season.
And yeah, so essentially I'm going to get into some stats on exactly that. I'm just going to double check the record right now. Yeah, 11-3.
11-3.
So, as a former fat kid.
You were fat one time?
Oh, yeah. I
What?
couldn't see my feet till I was like 10. Anyway.
You were chubby, huh?
Yeah, it was. So, looking at, again, as you mentioned, I'm not a fan of any team, any player. I'm not a fan of, I don't cheer for anybody. I don't cheer against anybody. In fact, I was in San Antonio over the weekend and watching basketball with a guy Wyatt, a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And, he even remarked, he said something like, as the game was going back and forth, I think it was the Golden State San Antonio game.
Okay, yep.
And great game, great finish. The game where they had the inbounds play to Wembanyama over Draymond, and they didn't get the bucket, but great game. Just haymaker of a game.
Yeah.
So fun to watch. And even Wyatt said, you're just cheering for basketball. I'm like, yeah, I just want the good play. I don't care. I don't have unless it's 1991 and I'm watching Chicago, I don't really care, right?
Yeah.
Or my own teams that I coached with, my two teams that I was full time with, I don't care.
You had a hell of a run in the 90s where you were rooting for a team we
all
all did.
I had good stuff. But then we played against them when I was my first job with the Timberwolves in the late 90s. We played against Chicago.
How much did you hate him?
Who, Michael?
Yeah,
not
playing against him.
Oh no, I remember first time seeing him. Not to side note it, but everybody has their first time seeing Jordan's story.
Yeah.
And all these NBA guys, if you listen to the podcast, they'll always talk about the first time they saw him. And in context, I had 32 posters on my wall as a kid. 9 of them were door posters. So my wall was just littered with Jordan posters.
Yeah.
I had every sneaker I didn't have the ones, but I had 2 through, I think, 11, and then I just stopped. I still have my original 2s at home from 1987, whatever that is. So Jordan was my, he was my hero. He's my one basketball hero. He's the reason I decided to choose basketball over anything else. And it was in 1996, I believe, Chicago came to to Minneapolis to play the Timberwolves when I was first there. And the locker rooms, like the away locker room and the home locker room, are kind of across the hallway. There's a big hallway, behind the gym, and ours was here, theirs was there. And I was literally standing outside of our locker room after our team had already taken the floor. And I'm just this young guy on the coaching staff, and I'm just standing there watching all the players walk out. And then all of a sudden he just appeared in the doorway. And I saw it, and I remember it as it was, the glow. There was, I don't know if you've ever seen this 1980s movie, The Last Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love The Last
Who's
Dragon.
the master?
Who's the master?
I am.
And then so there's this glow that comes, when he...
You're talking to the world's biggest Bruce Lee
When
fan.
Bruce Leroy comes out.
Yeah.
Bruce Leroy comes out, and there's this glow. And I watched these players, and Steve Kerr was my favorite at the time as well.
Yeah.
One of my favorite players. And Michael just kind of just walked out. He always had like the top 2 buttons buttoned and the bottom one's unbuttoned, if I remember correctly. And I froze. I couldn't, in my mind, I couldn't breathe. I was floating. He was floating. He was like glowing. the closest thing I've ever had to a spiritual experience was just watching him, and he kind of just walked out of the door, down the 2 or 3 steps, and then turned left down the hallway to go on their other side of the entrance. And I just, first time seeing him, just I couldn't move. It was just an experience I'll never forget. And then I had a chance to meet him a couple years back, or a couple years after that, which was totally cool too. Anyway, long story longer, I'm not a fan of any one team anymore.
Right, yeah.
And so, unless I was working for a team, but I feel like there needs to be, and I have purposely on our previous episodes not talked about Jokic.
Yeah.
As to not seem like a hometown person. Now, I worked for the Nuggets. I have, loyalties to that team, that 2011 to 13 team that we had, and those coaches and players. But that's all gone and dead, and this is a whole new thing. And I still have people with the Nuggets that I'm friends with. So I want them to do well, but I do not cheer for them necessarily in any way.
Right.
Again, Denver's a nicer place when our teams are doing well, as we all know.
Absolutely. Any city's like that.
No question. But, last year when I started talking about, voicing my opinion on certain things, and I talked about Shea getting the MVP, I got so much vitriol for who he was and how he played and the foul baiting and all these things. And it turns out he's not even the worst foul getter this year. I think it's now Luka. Anyway,
yeah,
I just got a lot of pushback of well, what about Jokic? And I was like, yeah, fine. There's an argument to be made. And I think I saw a stat today on one of the things where, it's on Basketball Reference, which I'm going to go through Basketball Reference here in a second. But on Basketball Reference, they talked about the MVP race, the percentage of who is going to get the MVP so far. Jokic is at 80%, and Shea is at 8%.
Yeah.
And so, even though Oklahoma City is, I think, the winningest, the most distinctively winningest team, whether you want to say they're the best team or their record hasn't been great, or their record hasn't been challenging enough, or whatever you want. I don't care what you say.
See,
whatever
things like that are so dumb. You can only play who you play.
You're playing who you play, and they are running through who they're playing.
Right.
They are just
they're doing what they're supposed to do.
No question.
Right.
I'm, like I said it before a couple episodes ago. They're not the 72-10 Bulls, but the way Chicago played then was, I don't care who you are. We are going to be psychotic about this next. You're just in the way, and we're just doing what we do. We don't care who you are. We're gonna destroy you, and we're gonna make it anyway. So I feel like Oklahoma City is just next. And the feeling I get from other teams is that there's we got to get up for this team, and they're in our division, or we have to beat them, or they're in our whatever, or there's a rivalry involved of sorts, or whatever. I think Oklahoma City's just going, and Shea is still the best player on that team. Anyway, through all of this, through just being committed to all the things, Basketball Reference is what I go to on a daily basis. I get an email that says the night before is best performances, etc. And there are these league leaders in all of these statistical categories, and
This is how you know we're a live show. Is I'm going to adjust a microphone.
Adjust a microphone.
Live.
There we go.
Yeah. We're good.
We don't need editing. Editing is for.
It's dumb.
It's dumb. Editing is dumb.
We're friends having a conversation.
That's two guys talking. And so, Basketball Reference has all these statistics that are sort of drilled down stats. They're not just points, rebounds. It is that, but it's far more than that. So I'm going to go through each one of these, and you're just the anomaly, not the anomaly. Jokic is at the top or near the top of almost every single one of these categories, offensively and defensively. So the case so far, and we're not talking about MVPs, but just to admire what he is doing on a winning team it's so remarkable that we have to talk about it. Now, I don't care that he averaged a triple-double, is averaging a triple-double.
Yeah.
I think I'm not saying it's not what it once was. They used to be so rare that we used to, if somebody got 2 or 3 a year, you would lose your mind.
Yeah, Oscar
had a full season, yes, yeah. And then Westbrook had a full season, and
he had multiple seasons,
yes,
I think.
And so was Jokic. And Jokic had one last year, you pointed out. So again, it's an anomaly. It should be given more. I think we're almost numb to it, and I don't think it should be discounted like it is, because no one. He got one last night. He wasn't on on like the top performance of the night.
No, Peyton Watson had a blow-up game.
Your teammate just had a triple-double, and again, cheers to Peyton Watson, but my point is it's still very valuable, of course, but I think those that are paying attention to it don't really give it as much weight as they once did. So whatever.
That's evolution of the game.
Sure. I think it's almost like the way we play now, the pace that we play at. I'll give you a context, and pace matters on all these things and matters for these stats. In 2012 and 13, the team I was part of with the Nuggets, we were second in the league in pace, which is possessions per 100 or like something. Anyway, there's a rating. It's like per 100 possessions. We were 95 was our pace. Like wow. 95 was our pace. I was second in the league. If you look at pace today, we wouldn't be last. We'd be like beyond last. The slowest team in the NBA today is at 96.
So you'd be G League.
We'd be behind. Yeah, we'd be the slowest team.
Maybe slower.
Yeah, by 2 points in the NBA now.
Wow.
And that's just a testament to the way the game has changed, and that's the 3-point explosion.
Mm-hmm.
This was okay. So we were second in 2013 at 95, and now we're a decade or more ahead, and it's like 110 is now the pace, 110 per 100, and I forget how they measure that, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It's fast, way faster. Which wise the scoring output is high. Like the statistics are just going. The offensive statistics are higher. The defensive statistics are probably suppressed just because of logic. But so I'm going to go through these on this basketball reference, and the basic ones, they're going to make sense. But points, he's ninth, right? So Shea leads the league in points. Lauri Markkanen is number 2. Tyrese Maxey third, etc. Luka is at 8th, and Jokic is 9th in points. Points per game, he's 7th. Total rebounds, he's number 1. Number 1 rebounder in the league. Karl Anthony Towns is number 2.
That's pretty wild that he, and this is from having watched a few Nuggets games this year, it feels like they're getting out hustled on the boards a little bit. It happened against Chicago. Chicago outworked them. There were moments in the Pelicans game that they most recently played where the Pelicans look like they out hustled them a little bit on the boards too. So that stat to me actually is a little wild.
And I think there's a part of this, it's not skewed, but it is logical the way that where Jokic is mostly defensively on the floor. Jokic does not put himself into too much trouble, meaning he kind of stays out of the pick and roll. They'll run pick and rolls at him a lot or try to, and Denver does a really good job of keeping him out of it. So if I were to try to beat Denver, I would put Jokic in as many screen and rolls as possible and stick him on an island against our faster, younger player, right?
Yeah.
And so I think now they almost invert him in the screen and roll and have him at the bottom of the eye, sort of near the basket and help side. So his defensive rebounds are almost like he's the only one kind of there.
Yeah.
So he does get a lot of like, I'm there, so I'm just gonna. I'm not saying they fall to him now. That fans out there are gonna say, oh, whatever. He is inside a lot for Denver, and most of the other guys are on the perimeter.
Yeah.
And there's only one other guy really that plays inside at all, and that's Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
So he, by default, he's going to get a lot, and so I would imagine also, the new center, the backup center now,
Jonas
Valanciunas. I'm assuming he's going to be in the same boat because it's just how they play. So that's not to say that it's not important, but his total rebounds number 1. Wow. Rebounds per game number 1. Offensive rebounds, he is, like, to my point, he is not on the list in the top 25 people, not on the list of offensive rebounds. Defensive rebounds, he's number 2, and it's by less than 1 rebound behind Wembanyama. So Victor's number 1 defense. So again, to almost proving my point a little bit.
Yeah,
these guys are just near the finish of the play, right?
Wemby's near everything.
He is. He's incredible, and I'm so bummed that he's injured. Defensive rebounds, actually, Jokic has more than Wembanyama total per game. Victor has him by like a 1.
Wow.
Offensive rebounds, he's 13th in the league in offensive rebounds per game. So I don't know why it's total and then there's per game.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets cool. Here's where it starts to go like no. Back to my two episodes ago, 1 episode ago. No, a post I did about what a point guard is now, a playmaker. Jokic leads the league in assists by a lot, and number 2. So assists per game, Jokic is at 11.1, so he's averaging double figures in assists. Cade Cunningham's at 9.9, so a full assist behind. And then point guards that you would think about: Giddey's 3rd, Doncic is 4th, James Harden 5th, Drew Holiday, Tyrese Maxey, etc.
And that's all more than a point behind.
Those are all like your traditional playing out front guys. And this is why, again, I think Jokic is probably the most important playmaker in the league. Steals, I don't think he's in any of those. Blocks, he's nowhere near blocks per game. No. Field goal percentage, he's 7th. Free throw percentage, he's not in the top 20. I'm not even going to go into threes because he's not there. 2-point field goal percentage, he's 3rd. So the rookie from Charlotte is leading the league in field goal percentage at 82%, which is nuts. But Jokic, 2-point field goals, I think he's one of the best finishers in the paint we've ever seen, even as a center. Like, I know there's guys that just dunk the ball a lot, but for a guy that doesn't dunk that much, he's incredible around the rim. Effective field goal percentage, he is not on the list. True shooting, he's number 2. Actually, I'm sorry, effective field goal, he is there. He's 4th. True shooting, he's number 2. That's basically just takes into account 3s and 2s in different areas on the floor. Let's go into 2-point field goals made. He's 4th. Per game, he's 2nd. Attempts, he is nowhere on the list, which means he's efficient, right? He's not just getting 2-pointers up.
Yeah, his efficiency numbers during their win streak, it was like 6 games in a row? Yeah. There wasn't a game below 70%.
Sure.
For his efficiency numbers.
For sure.
That is
insane. And this is what bothers me about when I watch Denver, and I've been openly critical, or, at least, I guess it's maybe nitpicking, but it is critical about Jamal Murray. And I've always talked about, here's Murray, who is an elite scorer. I think he's, a good of a pull-up jump shooter, a shooter, coming off the screen and roll. He's really effective, and he helps them win games. But you have the best player in the league rolling down the paint, and even if somebody is on him, it's not a player his size,
right?
And I see times where Jokic is rolling and they just don't throw it to him, and I think that's a giant miss. So I think if I'm coaching Jamal Murray, I'm like, my guy, when you come off turn the corner, just please throw it to him.
Those are those moments. It's funny. Some of the group chats I'm in, and I'm notorious for being a hater. Not just about basketball or sports, but about everything in my life. Like, if I need to be, I'm the Kendrick Lamar of my friend group normally. Like, and you know what? To everybody out there, I was taught something that I should hate more by Kendrick this year because he played a Super Bowl halftime show. So
there you go.
But I am guilty from a not so analytical perspective of, there are moments where I watch Jamal and it's infuriating because I'm like, why do you still have the ball? What are you doing? Get your head out of your rear end. And those moments actually coincide with, I would imagine, if every time I've said that or thought it, I would imagine that it would coincide with one of those moments.
I think what happens, I don't think you're wrong. What I see in Jamal is I don't fight me on this, internet, but he's a shoot first player. I'm not even calling him a point guard. He's a shoot first, a perimeter player. I would probably put him at a 2 if I were to, and luckily Nuggets, Denver has this point guard person, Jokic, to do all the things, to lead the league in assists. Fascinating. And so Murray probably feels like he's freed up to take those shots. And maybe he is allowed to, certainly he was allowed to under Coach Malone, and maybe he's still allowed to do it. They need him to score, in the 20s to be, Gordon and Jokic need to be the leaders of that team, I think. So he has had games where he's been elite. When I watch him, to your point, where he does dribble quite a bit, I do think he is, if it's 60-40, 70-30, shot first, pass second. And I do see him passing a lot I attempted to get my own shot. It didn't work. Now I'll throw it. From a playing standpoint, if I'm coaching this game, I always want to make the right play.
Right.
As much as possible. And I want to get an open look as soon as possible. And late in the games when they run a mid pick and roll with Jokic and usually Murray, he's rolling down the paint and he is naked throwing the basketball. And I know that, maybe Murray has the ability to make those shots and maybe he needs to I don't know.
When he gets going, I mean, he can cook you.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just watching the best player in the league go down the middle of the paint and not touch the basketball. It's infuriating. If he doesn't touch the basketball in the fourth quarter, in a close game, every time down the floor, I think it's a miss. I'm not saying he needs to shoot it, but he needs to be involved in it. Jokic.
Right.
Anyway, so the next part, this part, the free throws per game, all those things, all those scoring things that he's doing, all those offensive categories, he's doing with. I think he's undercalled, meaning he should be on these free throw lists. He should be on the top free throw shooters in the league, and he's not. I don't think he gets enough calls, although he's really good at avoiding fouls. He's really good at still getting the shot off and avoiding fouls.
Yeah.
So he's nowhere near any of these free throw, not even attempts, the per game and the total free throws. He's nowhere near the top of this. These are the top 20 players. He's not on any of those lists, which is pretty fascinating.
The way he's called and refereed is very similar to how Rob Gronkowski was reffed in the NFL.
Sure.
Where people just kind of be hanging on him, and
it's not
and
it's the Shaq theory. Like, Shaq was a monster, and you're like, well, this dude, his defender fell down.
Right.
Like, yeah, but that's the same anyway. Physics, he gets the disadvantage of being a big dude.
Yeah.
So, and it's like a guy that touches the basketball that much and goes to the rim that much, I believe he should be on the free throw line. So there's a fan, if I'm pulling for the Nuggets. Anyway.
I don't know if that's a fan. That's
not a fan. I think it's just, it's an anomaly.
Yeah, it's wild.
Here's the fun stuff. Here's the deeper dive into player efficiency rating and win shares, offensive win shares, defensive win shares. So his PER, which is essentially, and I'll just read what this says just so they know it, a measure of per minute production standardized such that the league averages 15. So I don't know what that means, but he leads the league in player efficiency rating. And just so for context, it's Jokic, Giannis, Shea, Luka, and Jalen Duren, who I just talked about the other day. So he's leading the league by 4 points in player efficiency rating. So again, easily the most efficient player, statistically the most efficient player, and by eye test. Win shares. He has a 4.1 win share. So he is involved an estimated number of wins contributed by a player. So he's at 4.1. So, and the next person is Shea at 3.9, and then it drops down Jimmy Butler at 2.5. Offensive win shares, he's at 3.1. So he leads the offensive win shares. Defensive win shares. Isaiah Hartenstein, of all people, is leading the league in defensive win shares, which say what you want, but Jokic is 5th, even if that was the case. So Shea is 2nd on that list. So
interesting. Okay.
This is really cool. Side note for OKC, high fives on OKC, and why, again, I just love basketball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 5 players in the top 10 in defensive win shares. Oklahoma City does.
That's pretty
wild. They're stopping you is what that means. Win shares per 48 minutes, just overall total win shares, Jokic, 4.4. It's at 44%. The next closest guy, Shea, is at 37%. And then Jalen Duren, Giannis, Jimmy, Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet, Luka. The plus minus, this one is, there's an anomaly here. So his plus minus, his box plus minus, Jokic is at 19.8, which leads the league. Number 2, Shea is at 13.3, so 6 points less than that. Giannis is at 11, so 2 points less than that. The next guy is Luka at 9.7. Jokic's plus minus is nearly double the 5th guy. Actually, it is double the 5th guy. So he is just, again, another giant anomaly.
Right.
Offensive box plus minus. He's at 13.3. Shea is at 9.9, so he's 4 points ahead of number 2 in just offense. Defensive plus minus 6.5 is the next one is Victor at 3, so he's double the plus minus in defense.
Good Lord.
Which just means again, when he's on the court, the defense is better. That doesn't mean so. These plus minuses are basically when you and I are on the court together, and let's say the other team makes a run and just blows us out. Our plus minus goes down, even though we
it's
maybe affect. It's related to essentially how the game is going. This one's fun. Value over replacement player. Jokic leads the league in that at 2.5. This is some Billy Bean shit, some Moneyball. I love it, which is great. Value over replacement, which is like the WAR quotient in baseball. Wins above replacement. Jokic is 2.5. Shea is at 1.9. Giannis is 1.4. So basically, the most irreplaceable players in the league are Jokic. Jokic is number 1. Offensive rating. He's number 2 in offensive rating. Defensive rating, he is, which is weird. He's 7th in defensive rating. So usage, he is not on there, usage percentage is basically, let me see, estimate of the percentage of team plays used by a player while out there on the floor, because basically he doesn't finish as many plays as he is involved in.
Right.
Assist percentage, 52% of Denver's assists come from Jokic. Crazy.
52%.
Half the assists.
So then you could, if you were a math nerd, you could figure out how many points flow through him at any given time because of those
at least
numbers
104.
Too. Yeah.
So 52% at 2 points, at least
that's insane.
So again,
that assumes it's only 2 points,
right?
Not the occasional 3. Wow.
And some baskets are not assisted. So I would say it's less than. It's not 100. It's on the assisted basket. So usually a good assist number in a game, I think, is 30 team assists is sort of like the benchmark. I could be wrong on that. Fact check me. But around 30 assists per game is about the league average or the league kind of thing. So you could say that, half of those assisted field goals go to Jokic, which makes sense because he averages 11 per game. So that makes sense. Going further, they do a per 36 minute ratio, which I don't know why they do that. Basketball Reference, maybe just to break it down a little bit more.
Yeah.
Maybe this takes out the fourth quarter where the game might be in hand and he's not
doesn't have to be.
Basically, it accounts for being subbed out of a game, right? Field goals, he's 4th. 2-point field goals, he's 2nd. 2-point attempts, not on the list, which is fascinating. So he's on the list for made field goals, but not attempts. Again, efficiency.
Yeah.
I won't even go into the 3-pointers.
He's had a bad down year.
He's shooting fine. He
Percentage,
doesn't shoot him that much. He's not on any of the free throw lists, which is, again, crazy to me. And then assists per 100 possessions, he's at 15. And, basically the rest of the list is Jamal Shed from Toronto, Cade Cunningham, Josh Giddey, Cole Anthony. Again, more primary ball handlers, traditional ball handlers. So there's a couple other categories, but that's it. I mean, but it's not just it. I'm not going to reduce that. That is fascinating. Now, on those lists, right next to those guys we talked about it, or I've mentioned it. Giannis, Shea, Luka, Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham, Josh Giddey, Wembanyama's on those lists. So these are your best players. But the point I'm trying to make by today is he's on more than anybody else, at number 1 than any else. And the distances between when he is number 1 is just fascinating. Not to mention he's a 7-foot player and is not your primary dribbler.
Right.
But he is your primary ball handler. He's an anomaly. He is. I've kicked this question around with some of my other friends about and it's not a Jordan or a Jokic, who would you start? And I hate these questions, but I guess it's relevant for this topic. But who are you starting a team with? I'm starting a team with Wembanyama today.
Yeah.
Today. But Jokic, before Wembanyama's in the league, it's probably Jokic.
Yeah.
And just because it's for if I'm coaching and I want to play a certain way, Jokic is going to ensure that happens.
Yeah.
He's going to make what I always talk about as being the right play. You won't ever see him take a shot that's the wrong play. Even I hate that Sombor shuffle whatever. It's just so corny.
It's just a Euro step.
I just the local announcers. Anyway, even that shot, which is it's an odd shot. If anybody's ever tried it at home,
It's unorthodox.
it's
though.
super unorthodox.
Yeah.
It's right foot, right-handed, and it works because he's a big dude, and it's a little bit easier. But it's even those things, like those are all end of the clock things. He doesn't take anything that is unnecessary unless it's the end of the clock, and he still is really effective at going where he wants to. He just makes the right play all the time. So he's one of those guys. If I were to, say like who am I going to tune into? Like if I'm another NBA player, they used to say, "Hey, NBA players, who would you pay money to watch?"
Yeah.
One of those guys people used to talk about was Russell Westbrook, because he just played so hard and was just like this. That was like 5 years ago or so. That was kind of the consensus. Like we would pay to watch Russell.
Yeah, of
play.
course. Yeah.
I think like that for me right now, it's like Jokic and it's Steph Curry, because I love shooting the basketball and I love studying the shots and all.
Well, Steph is always can't miss
studying
TV.
shooting.
I mean,
No question. And Wembanyama, another guy that I'm tuning in to watch. But Jokic is the same. He just because it's such a departure from what we've always thought that player was supposed to do, that type of player was supposed to do. But now you're seeing, positionless basketball has been around a long time, but it's even more so now, to where if you're under 6'5", it's hard to. You have to be special. Like you have to be elite special at something, shooting mostly, or speed, or defense. Like if you're under 6'5", it's hard to get on the court in the NBA. It wasn't always like that.
Right.
You could be a 6 foot. Even like Steve Nash is 6'2" or 6'3" or whatever he is. Steph Curry is 6'3", but those were special elite people. Like they're could.
Look, I remember Muggsy.
Right. Well, it's like could Earl Boykins play in the league today? He was super fast, maybe,
Right.
but I'm not even sure he gets a look anymore, because there's just the way that that was once played was it was more deliberate, and they'd have spacing and they'd have numbers. There was another 6 foot guy on the other side of the court that he could play against, and he wouldn't have to play against a 6'6". Now the rosters are filled with 6'6" and above dudes.
Right.
And size has been. We had this conversation this summer with a buddy of mine who's a Nuggets guy, and Coach Carl. Of course, we talk about this stuff all the time. Like what is going on in basketball? We always kind of have these general conversations of what's next. Like George is always like, Coach Carl's always like, what's coming next? What are we going to do next? It was the 3-point. It's pace. It's whatever. Pace is here, and it's up. Even over last year, the pace is up. And not to get into the injury thing, but next is with pace. Now we have size. So now it's like, how many 7-footers kind of can we put on the court? So most of your draft picks, like your top end draft picks, are going to be 6'7" and above. There's going to be very few, unless they're again special in something. But all these guys, all these young guys, the number one picks they're all 6'10".
Yeah.
Con Knipple even 6'7". He's sneaky big, and Cooper is 6'10", of course. AJ Devenza is 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", somewhere in there, I think.
How tall's Derek Queen?
Derek Queen is a 6'8", 6'9".
6'9", yep.
Yeah, they're all big, and Queen is probably one of those guys that's more of an inside guy that maybe plays back to the basket.
I'll never forgive him right now.
I don't know.
I'm all up in my feelings
you
about
texted me
Derek
last night
Queen.
about that. I didn't even see what happened.
Yeah, well, no, it's just CSU played Maryland in the tourney last
That's right.
year.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
He hit that buzzer beater.
Yep, the one off the. It was like
travel.
off the glass.
It was a travel.
Well, it was. It depended on the gather. But to that point, like that's what we're seeing now is the size first.
Yeah.
And then, play later, and almost like, well, we'll figure out how to play. It's even like Jalen Duren. He's a 6'10", physically strong, plays inside, but he also plays at the elbow, and he's one of the things I talked about is how good of a target he is. Back to the Murray Jokic pick and roll, he's such a good target. Meaning, like, they know how to roll or how to sit in the window and be available for the pass. I mean, like we talk about this all the time. How do we create a closeout? Like if I were to say, is there a secret to basketball? And we might have talked about this on the other episode, but the secret to basketball is getting somebody to close out to a player, like getting somebody to go from guarding you to away from guarding you to going back, even in rotation. So creating a closeout, creating a a spot where a defender has to go out or go get a defensive or an offensive player. All you have to do is create one closeout, and we can get another one, and now we're in rotation. But if you can get one and treat it properly, that I think is one of the secrets to basketball. Not, whatever, fight me on that. But when you've got the best player in the world, like I said, rolling down the lane, hands up, available, that's the right play to make. Whether it's Duran or whether it's Wembanyama or whether it's, like Luka going downhill and looking on the weak sides and all those things. It's fascinating, again, back to the Jokic Appreciation Day, how he doesn't demand the basketball.
Right.
He says the right things, and I believe him. He does the right things, and it's apparent. He's loved by his teammates. I think, the Malone tenure obviously was very successful. They had a championship, but that all kind of unraveled at the end with the front office and Malone, and that's why, again, I always contended if Jokic really wanted Coach Malone to stick around, he would have,
He could have.
Could he have gone to front and said, no, don't fire him, we want him? Or was Jokic just like, I'm okay with a new direction, right? I'm not saying he targeted him and said, get him out. I don't know the details on that, but I got to think that your best player on the team could have some input. And I'm guessing they went to him and said, how do you feel about this?
Unless we have a Jerry Krause situation.
Yeah, no question. Going back to the 96.
No, but you mentioned this the other night, and I want to touch on this before time's up here, but there seems to be an element, and maybe it's because there's the realization that, the bench can score this year, where he is playing a little freer.
Yeah.
It seems like he's lighter.
I think you and I talked about that already. Even just watching him run, and I know I understand that.
That's what you call that?
He's sneaky fast this year. There's been a couple possessions where he'll grab the rebound and take off, and I'm like, he's really fast. Like, he's ahead of the.
Is he fast, or does he just cover a lot of ground?
Well,
with each
that's
step?
E equals MC squared. Mass times acceleration. No, physics. He takes off and he goes, right? So, and he's leading the break, and of course he's going to make the right decision. He always does. But I even see him as just moving in more freedom, energetic way. And it's fascinating. Like, did he just get a little bit better in year 10, 12, 11? I don't know what year it is. He was drafted in 15.
It's a lot of years now.
Was he there?
11 years.
11 years.
So year 11.
So 14. I actually just saw something today on Instagram where there was this proposed trade, and I'm not sure if this was just a made-up thing at all, but it was like it was a ridiculous trade. Like, it was Jokic and maybe even Murray and somebody else for, like, I want to say it was Paul George, and anyway, it was just this. I'll have to look it up. And I shouldn't have said that.
That's absurd. It's a
non-starter. At the time, Jokic had not done anything.
Oh, okay.
And so it was like.
Oh, so it was like back in the.
It was pre.
Okay.
And luckily, again, the trades. There should be an entire documentary on the trades that didn't happen, and people just talk about the outcomes of those trades that didn't happen, good and bad.
Yeah.
Like the Chris Paul one, when the league shut it down.
When the Lakers wanted him, yeah.
And so, like, all these trades, I remember, like, Coach Carl was always talking about the one trade. I think there was a Scottie Pippen trade going to Seattle for something, and I think Coach was in on it or was a favor of it, or I'm pretty sure he was in favor of it, and it didn't happen. Like, trades that, I think that's when he went to Portland, actually.
Gosh, I would be so interested to know who they would have had to give up.
And it was like, probably Sean Kemp. Something like that. Like,
it's a non-starter.
I'll have to ask Coach again. I forget what it was, but again, another episode on what trades, and we'd have to have an insider, of course. But, like, what trade?
We don't need to know why they didn't happen.
No, it's just
the rumors and why they didn't happen.
Just to throw the softball up and be like, hit this one, because, like, oh my God, could you imagine? I don't know.
Changes the history of the league.
Could you imagine Jordan on the Wizards? Yes,
we saw that.
We did see that.
He was old, but.
Back to again, the dude is cooking. He is far ahead on any sort of notion of who may or may not get an MVP. They are second in the West, which puts them third overall, I think, behind OKC and Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
If they continue to win, yes, I don't see why not, why he wouldn't get it again.
Right.
But again, Denver, I think the thing I would always, and every team has this problem, and now Spurs, you're going to find out how good the Spurs are or how bad they can be with Wemby out for a little while. But, knock on all the wood that health for Jokic remains in his 11th year. And I think one of the benefits of how he plays is he stays out of trouble, stays out of
physical trouble.
Yeah.
And, this year, like in terms of, last night was wild. Just in terms of the lineup that got rolled out from Adelman was, and it's something that, to your point, there was likely a need for a new direction for the Nuggets. Like Malone was probably really good at one point for them to teach them how to do a lot of things. But now that you have a veteran team that understands it and really just wants to play by the X's and O's, like Aaron Gordon was out last night and Adelman started Zeke, which during the Malone era, that is an unheard of, no way, that's not happening.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Well, just because like the lineups that get to be rolled out, like Denver doesn't get bullied as much as they used to when it comes to size. Like you can throw Jonas out there and it's giving Jokic an ability to be rested. Like he doesn't, he fouled out with 5-6 minutes last night in the fourth. And it was fine.
I think, it's whether you believe in Zeke, Najee or not, like it's who they had. Like you're kind of stuck with like Christian Brown being out and, the bench getting a little bit shorter, even though you've got Bruce Brown who could have started. You could have started Hardaway. Did he start? You could have started.
Hardaway started the other night, but I think
smaller guys. But Tim Hardaway is quietly having. So he's
having a great season.
And I noticed him on this basketball reference in the 3-pointers. I'm going to look real quick, but I think he's toward the top of a percentage of threes. Oh, maybe not.
He's
no, he's not. I thought he was.
He's having.
Anyway,
he is having a great season. I think playing with someone like Jokic kind of revitalizes somebody like him. Not that he really needed to be revitalized, but it creates different opportunities for him. I also feel very old having watched his dad, and now.
Well, it's funny.
Now I watch him play.
My contemporary was his father, and when I had a poster of Tim Hardaway too. There was a video that came out like when I was in high school, and it was all these like guards. And there's like an Isaiah one, and there's a Mark Price one, and there's like a, Jordan of course was in it, and all these guards, and then there was a Hardaway one, and it was the UTEP two-step, which was the name of his move.
Yeah.
Which was simply it was like the first time he would go between his legs, and then snatch back real quick. So it was like a between and then a cross right in front. And if you watch all the highlights, now you're looking at guys that do that and you're like, well, it's not that effective. Like I don't really see guys getting space with that.
Yeah.
But back then, for whatever reason, he was so good and strong and like quick with it. It was, if you ever just YouTube Tim Hardaway's UTEP two-step, fascinating. Like he just, wow.
He looked so good in a Miami Heat jersey too. There was something.
He was really good at that.
Like he just looked. Some players fit really well in the jerseys they wear.
Well, and and I know you want to do a jersey episode, but
we have to.
My jersey for I only see my identity for Tim Hardaway is Golden State.
That shows the age gap between us a little bit. Where I remember him playing for Miami. You really see it in Golden State. I guess to bring us full circle here, and like Denver had been a pretty maligned fan base and franchise for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's been stretches of Nuggets basketball that have been really, really tough.
Mm-hmm. Well, so in 2013, we were 57-25, and I say we because I was there. We were 57-25. We were third in the West. We were a game and a half out of first, and we lost Gallinari to an ACL with 20 games to go. We had I think a 13-game winning streak in the middle of the season, and was only outshadowed by Miami that had a 20-game win streak at the same time. Anyway, we got beat in the first round of the playoffs because of the Steph Curry, Klay Thompson coming out party.
Yeah.
And the first time where Steph was just kind of released, and we got bumped in first round, and we all got fired. Coach got Coach of the Year, and then we all got fired. And I think for 8 years, post Coach Carl, there was no playoff appearance.
Right.
I think 7 or 8 years. So it wasn't until like Malone's.
Yeah.
I forget when it was. It wasn't, but I want to say there was a long. Maybe it wasn't 8.
Was it the bubble?
Back. It would have been just prior. to
just
the bubble.
prior to the bubble.
Yeah, and kind of had the Portland.
So that's 6
rivalry.
or 7 years.
It was a good fact check it, but I think they missed the playoffs. I think at least 6 years post Coach Carl. So dark days in Nugget lore.
Look, I was in high school with. I went to a rival high school as Bill's son, so it's not fun to make fun of children for their parents' failures, but our high school crowd would always chant 11 and 71 whenever he was at the free throw line, and brutal, asinine high school children. But
who was that? Who were they cheering against?
Bobby Hanslick.
Oh,
whenever he was at the free throw line. Yeah. And that's a malign thing. So
that's argument to Mullen.
I'm excited that a franchise like Denver has someone who walks around this city with a little bit of a glow.
Yep.
He floats. People idolize
He does.
him as a player, and it's really easy to root for him just to do well, because you could even take your fandom out of it and be like, I just want to see something I've never seen before.
Yeah.
And that's what he does sometimes.
I agree. I think it's so unassuming.
Yeah.
The press conferences are sort of mundane. His response is sort of mundane. He does get animated at times, but for the most part, he's calm. He's calm. Level. He just is, sort of in context of the word, a bit psychotic, because he doesn't change emotion ever. He just
even
stays.
His animated is very not
animated.
animated.
And it's quick, and it's out, and it's done, and he moves on. He's so fascinating. So again, to wrap it up, I guess too, just Denver, I hope you realize that you are in the midst of an all-time great player, and I fully admit that. This is not again, back to the original, we're not a fan podcast, podcast, but just understanding how good Jokic is and how good he is for what they're doing, and the expectation, as I would have that same expectation, is there should be another championship, at least one more.
Yeah,
because the clock is going to tick, and the day will come. There's going to be a single day that comes and it's over.
Yeah,
just like that.
Yep. Well, and my favorite part is they showed him an Aaron Gordon dunk, and he got mad and said I was open. Threw shade at Aaron Gordon. It was great.